Let's get behind the Mortis. I'm Devin McCamey, author and director for Mortis Maledictum.
And I'm John Capers, the producer. In this show, we're going to give you an exclusive look at the lore, inspiration, and making of our show.
Yeah, today we're going to take a look inside at episode 3, The Dark Wilds.
So, let's kick things off with karma. It's a real bitch sometimes.
Yes, it is. We've had some nice characters, but in this particular episode, we don't get those.
No, it's a little bit different in this one, right? Because we're following these coffee barons, right?
Yeah, they're real jerks.
yeah, and they've taken themselves on a little hunting excursion, right?
Right, they're there to, go on a little... It's not just have an adventure and go hunting, but it's also like kind of a business deal for them. Like, this is where they go and they do their backroom business deals. But they don't just go here. This is their first time coming here. It's really interesting.
Yeah, so with that, right, we have that kind of encounter with the outfitter, right, before they head out on the trip, who gives them a bit of a warning.
Right, Brownhorn Hunt's like, hey, don't go out there right now. The Tuzemek's out there. It would not be a good day for you.
And of course, they don't know what that is. So let's talk a little bit about the Tuzemek.
Sure. So the Tuzemek is a gigantic, massive creature. It's the first truly massive creature we've introduced into the story. And also, it is a guardian. It's a guardian of the Buck Mountain specifically. And this is also the first guardian we've introduced into the story. Now, guardians don't play that big of a role early on in the story, but you start seeing more and more of them as the story unfolds and across different episodes and different chapters. It happens a lot. You run into guardians a lot in the Holloway series, and there are several that pop up in the Four Corners Patreon exclusive as well. But this is the first one that everyone runs into, no matter where you come from. This is the starting point.
Okay, so maybe to kind of level the bubble for everybody, what is a guardian?
A guardian is, well, the best way to do it without spoilering people is the guardians protect their zone, their realm, their sphere of influence from any threats that would come in from outside of that, but they don't protect it from things that are outside the reality. So the things that are from other realities that leak through, those are the realm of the Mortis, or from other realities that kind of hop between realities. Those are being protected by the Malice Bastion and the Archivist instead.
Okay, so these guardians, right, they're usually some kind of magical creature or being with powers to basically, like you said, protect that realm that they have been charged with.
Yes, they're given dang near limitless power, but only within their sphere of influence.
Now, you mentioned the Archivist and the Malice Bastion a moment ago, and for those of you who are listening to these Behind the Mortis episodes, as you experience the main story for the first time, then those are two concepts that you probably haven't been exposed to. So
yeah, the new characters haven't popped up yet, but they are vital, so keep an eye out.
Absolutely. Okay. And so that outfitter warning them against the Tuzemek, what did he know about the Tuzemek?
Well, he's lived there his whole life, right? And so has his whole family. So they're probably run into the Tuzemek time and time again. And they know better than to mess around when that being's around. Because guardians, just because they're protecting the area, they don't necessarily mean they're protecting the area for humans. Sometimes it's from humans. So they're really just protecting the area regardless of what the threat may be or may be perceived as. And more often than not, these guardians view humans as that threat as well.
Okay, so it's even kind of a Mother Nature or Mother Gaia kind of relationship with the area they've been charged with. It's not necessarily like, oh, I'm here to protect the people or whatever. It's more about the land itself or the resource, I guess some kind of magical connection that they have with that area.
Yes, exactly. And then it becomes even worse whenever you're someone from, across the Atlantic. You're coming from a completely different continent, so you are as alien to that guardian as something hopping in from a different reality is to your reality if you were the Malice Bastion or the Archivist.
Okay, that makes sense. So if this person, this outfitter and their family knew more about the Tuzemek, right? They've been there their whole life. What were they not telling the coffee barons?
That is a great question. Probably they were playing a little more aloof than they should have, but you know what? The coffee barons had it coming to them. They're being outright jerks to these guys. So it didn't have to be a big thing. They warned them. Their conscience is clear, but could they have been a little more verbose about just how bad this thing is? Sure, but why would they when they were literally getting talked to the way they were and treated the way they were? They were just trying to help them out. But who's going to go over and above to help out someone that's being a jerk to them, you know?
No, that's a great point. And I think that's one of the, I guess, recurring themes in the story is, you know, karma comes around, and people who try to do good things and do good works and treat others respectfully seem to be, well, not always fully rewarded, but in an instance like this one, where these people definitely were not putting their best foot forward in the treatment of other people, well, they had an opportunity to be saved and were not.
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the recurring themes that definitely comes into play over and over and over again. And we kind of had Lawrence did a really good job of trying to transition some of the sounds and music to where in this particular episode it sounded almost friendly. Sitting in the shop, listening to this nice little Italian guitar going on, and it's just got kind of this weird dichotomy with them being just absolute jerks whenever the music and the ambiance is so nice, and then of course they get very worried and the music becomes almost fast and frenetic, chasing the barons as they're running away from these undead gigantic deer essentially that are running after them.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like as a listener, right, we tend to probably resonate with some of these characters and maybe almost feel bad for some of the things that have happened, right? You go back to Teeth in the Waves or the like Mount Parnassus, and we've got these characters who are really more like victims of the circumstance. And while, you know, the coffee barons, Raoul and team, are definitely victims, it's hard to feel bad for them after the way that they had treated people going out into this hunting excursion of theirs. Right.
You definitely feel kind of, oh, that's sad that they got destroyed and killed or incorporated into the Tuzemek, as it were.
Yeah.
But you don't feel that bad.
Right. And I think that was captured really well with the selection of music for that one. And then even during the fight scenes, right? And, you know, they're out there, they've got their rifles, and they're taking these shots at these rabid deer, if you will, right? And there was like this really solid echoing right through the forest sound that was coming off of those gunshots. Can you speak at all to how that was achieved?
Yeah, so what we did here with this one is Lawrence brought in some of the gunshot sounds and some of the Foley that we were going to use, and it all seemed kind of flat and lifeless. Sure, it was there and it had kind of an echo on it, but it didn't feel like it was in the scene. So he really kind of played with the equalization of it a little bit to kind of bring it more in line. And it was strange. He actually went kind of backwards. He kind of cut some of the life from it already so that he could instead put its own in there with a little more of like the organic reverb that we had brought in during some of the lines that were being given, some of the atmosphere that was already there, layered in a little bit more of a delay or an echo there to make it feel like it's in a very, very large space, you know, in this forest. But at the same time, there's so much stuff in the forest, leaves on the ground and the trees, and everything is kind of growing there. So we couldn't have it bounce for a long echo, but we needed just a little bit of something. And he was able to get that and capture it perfectly, in my opinion. It sounds like shots fired in a forest, and I think it's great.
I agree. And so bringing up that ambiance and that environment that they were in, right? We're in this forest, and you know, for everybody who's seen the artwork for this episode, you know, you'll resonate with that scene that Brandon painted where it's, you know, this huge forest experience with this massive undead looking deer rising from above the tree line, right? Hundreds and hundreds of feet above the tree line. And it's very like colossal and magnificent. but also it's dark and it's twisted looking. And I think that setting in Hungary definitely kind of brings that feeling together, right? That kind of like misty forests and
very old forest.
Yep, gloomy kind of thing. So can you talk at all about why Hungary?
Yeah, so actually, the Tuzemek and Hungary themselves came from the same place, and it was that I had seen an art piece that Brandon did, as so many of the chapters are inspired. It was in grayscale, and it was a very large vertical piece, and it was this massive deer with white glowing eyes, or a silhouette of a deer, because it was grayscale and black and white, right, over some trees. And I was like, wow, this is great. I want to use this. This is going to be what I'm going to base the Tuzemek on. But I wanted, this is a cool forest. This is a big thing. So I wanted something old and dense and kind of like well-used forest with lots of animals and, flora and fauna going on with it. So I was like, where can I put this? And of course, Hungary came up as a really good option. I said, you know what? Let's do it. This sounds fantastic. So we put it there, and then Brandon heard the episode and once again said, a little black and white, simple 1 hour drawing will not do. It simply will not. And so he put together an 8-hour art monstrosity that became the final art piece, which he did a great job on.
Wow, 8 hours. That's quite a piece. Must have taken a lot of work for him. And it is a very monstrous piece. I mean, the dimensions on that and the detail, right? If you look on that piece of art, you can like really zoom in. It's this big and expansive piece, but when you get down to it, like he was painting this thing at like the micropixel level.
Absolutely was.
And
yes.
It shows through. Like seeing those deer that are coming off of the Tuzemek that almost look like just dust sloughing off of it, but it's not. If you look closely, it's not.
Yeah, those are bodies.
Yeah. And so with what you mentioned, the Tuzemek, it's not a traditional folklore creature in this case. This is an original, right?
That is true. This is the first of the originals, I think.
It's awesome. So I think it's great the way that we've blended the traditional folklore and then original lore, creating creatures that maybe even seem like that very well could be a real folklore somewhere in Hungary, right? That monstrosity of a undead deer, I could see that as being something people maybe had believed in the past.
Yeah, I hope that it fits and that it seems like it would be something out of that folklore from the region and time. So that was the goal, is to try to make it fit, but of course it is a complete fabrication.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Good job on that. So I guess the next piece is, since we're over in Hungary and we're talking about this Tuzemek, why South American coffee barons?
I wanted something from very, very far away from where the setting of the story is. So I was like, what's something? I was thinking maybe I go Australia, but then I was like, we haven't touched South America yet, which is really funny that the very next episode we go straight to South America. But I was like, let's do that one, and went down there, and I said, okay, we need some big ol' fat on your own money entrepreneurs, and what can we do with that? And It came out to be the Coffee Barons.
Oh, that's cool. So it was really kind of out of left field.
Yeah, absolutely was. It was a shock, honestly, that it came to that. I had kicked around a few ideas with other types of things, but honestly, if you're going to look at legal exports, coffee's pretty hot commodity.
Yeah, no, that's true. Very widely spread legal drug that we all consume.
Yeah.
I know I do.
Caffeine addiction is a real thing, and I really have it.
Yep, same. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
With that, it kind of wraps up our show. Our show is listener supported through our Patreon, and as a thank you to supporters, anyone that helps support us as a patron can listen to the new exclusive storyline, Four Corners, and episodes come out, every single month. I know that JJ and Gorath are working on their episode 5, turning that into audio right now. So that's going every single month. It's coming along, and we've got the script out for the next one coming very soon as well. We're a couple head on the script.
Yeah, no, very excited for this next installment of Four Corners on our Patreon. And so we'd like to extend our thanks to our supporters who have made it possible, such as Serial Designation O, Heckamit, Birdie, Celia, Houdini Bob, and Trina.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Speaking of, we've got some guest spots available on the show as well. We want to be able to cast from our Discord community. I know we've mentioned that a few times in the past, but we really do. And our supporters and fans in the Discord community and or on Patreon, if they express an interest of being on like a particular episode or something like that because they really like this one or that one, that's the episodes we want to put people on, because then they'll talk honestly and excited about the thing, which we can just take notes on and use them in future episodes as we go along. So we will be casting from our Discord community for guest spots, and the link is going to be down in the description.
Thanks for getting Behind the Mortis with us.
Don't get lost in the dark.